We're making soft and chewy oatmeal cream pies that are gluten-free with oats. They have all the flavor of the original Little Debbie cakes, including a creamy filling, but with clean, natural ingredients. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. To make these really delicious oatmeal cream pies, we're going to start with our oats. Now you could use quick or old-fashioned, and the only difference is the size. I like to use the quick oats because they've been cut down a little bit smaller. Now to give these cookies a really soft but sturdy structure, I like to use a combination of both the oats and an oat flour. Now you can purchase some oat flour from the store, but you can grind it super easily at home. So all you have to do is buy either your old-fashioned oats or your quick oats, and then put them into a blender or a food processor. And if you're using a blender cup like I am, you'll want to fill it up fairly high so it has enough weight to pull down the oats as they grind. And then we'll just screw on the lid, put it on the base, and then let it mix for about 30 seconds or until it's all a fine flour. It's really that easy. Now you have this fine, fresh ground oat flour. Now to make our cookie dough, we're going to start by blending together our butter and our sugar. So we're going to add a half a cup of room temperature butter to our bowl. Now you are welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the full recipe with all the details as well as substitutions. Next we'll add half a cup of cane sugar, and then we'll just mix these together till they're nice and fluffy. Next I'm going to drop in 1 egg. Now this is optional, but for extra flavor we're going to add 1 tablespoon of some molasses, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then we'll mix these together just until combined. Next we'll add in 1 1/3 cups of our fresh ground oat flour, plus 1 cup of our oats. And then to add some additional flavor, as well as to slightly darken the color of the cookie dough, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. Now because we're not using brown sugar in this cookie dough, the color is going to be a little bit lighter than it is in the original Little Debbie Creme Pies. That's why adding a little bit of this cocoa powder as well as that molasses helps to deepen the color as well as the flavor. Next, we're going to add half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we'll just dump these right on top. And then we'll just blend these together until we have a nice soft cookie dough. Well, that looks perfect. Now to bake the cookies, I've just placed a piece of parchment paper onto my cookie sheet. And this makes it really easy for getting the cookies on and off the pan. And I'll just use my medium-sized cookie scoop, and I'm going to fill it almost all the way full, and then just scoop it right onto my sheet. Now these cookies will spread, so you'll want to give about 2 inches in between your cookies. Now we need to shape our cookies, and you have 2 options. You can take a little bowl of water and wet your fingertips, and then just push down on the cookie till you have a nice even circle. And the second option is a little bit quicker. You can take another sheet of parchment paper, put it over all the cookies, take a second cookie sheet, and then just gently press it down onto your cookies till it's about 1/4 inch thick. And then carefully lift off your parchment paper. And then you have some very uniform thin cookies, but you will want to go in and just kind of clean up some of the edges if needed. Now we want these cookies to be really soft so that when we sandwich them together with our cream filling, you can bite through them all very easily. So we're going to slightly underbake them. So we're going to put them into a 350-degree oven for 8 minutes, just until the sides are just barely starting to turn a little bit of a golden brown. And then we're going to take them out and allow them to cool. Now we can make that fluffy, creamy frosting that goes inside of our cookie sandwiches. And you'll want to use a whisk attachment either on your mixer or on an immersion blender like I have. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my cup that comes with my immersion blender. So I'm going to start with 1/4 cup of soft room temperature butter, and then 2 tablespoons of some heavy cream instead of milk, just to make it extra light and fluffy. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And this is optional, but adds even more flavor, and that's 1/8 of a teaspoon of some almond extract, and 2 generous pinches of salt. And then I'll just mix this together for about a minute until it's light and fluffy. All right, that looks fantastic. Now I sifted out 1 1/2 cups of powdered cane sugar, so I'm gonna go ahead and just dump in about half of it. And then I'll turn my power to low, and then just gently fold that in. And we'll go ahead and add the remainder of the sugar. And then mix this in until smooth. And then we'll have this really creamy frosting that needs a pinky test. That is delicious. And then we can set this aside until our cookies are baked and cooled. Well, here are our cookies after 8 minutes in the oven. And they smell nicely toasted, and you can see how they're just barely starting to brown around the sides. Now this is optional, but if you'd like them to have a really clean circular shape, you can take a circular cookie cutter that is larger than the size of the cookie. And while they're still warm, we're just going to slide them around inside this cookie cutter. And this will just kind of help knock down the sides and smooth them out a bit. But you have to do this quick while the cookies are still warm. Now you want to let these cool completely before we frost them. Now if you want to speed this up, you can let them cool on the counter for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then you could move them into your fridge or your freezer if you'd like to have them cool off faster. Now we have several options for getting the frosting onto the cookies. You could just spread it on with a knife or a spatula, or you can pipe it on by either using a snack bag and cutting the corner, or you could use a piping bag. I'll go ahead and use just a simple piping bag with about a 1/4 inch round tip inside. So I'm just going to put it down into a jar, fill it up with my frosting. Now I'll scoosh it down in the bag to get out all the air bubbles. Now, if you could use healthier recipe inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. Now, to get an even thickness on the cream and get that really smooth edge in between the two cookies, I find it works best to just start with a bead of frosting all the way around the outside. And then we can gradually work around in the center. And since the center isn't going to show, I'm not going to fill it completely solid with frosting. That also helps cut down a little bit on the sugar, and it will still taste amazing. Then we'll take a second cookie that's about the same size and just gently squish them together. And we now have a very beautiful and healthier Little Debbie sandwich cookie. Now the frosting is going to be its softest right now, so you can decide if you want to eat them right away, or you can put them into the fridge or freezer for a little bit just until the frosting sets. But my vote is to enjoy it right now. That tastes so delicious. I think this tastes even better than the Little Debbie's because it has so much more depth of flavor coming in from the fresh oats, as well as those other ingredients, including the molasses, the little bit of cinnamon, and the little bit of cocoa powder. And I love how the earthy flavor of the cookie is perfectly balanced by that really sweet cream, and there's just enough of it to be very satisfying without being overpowering. And what I love most is that it's made with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm going to feel just as good even after I enjoy it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today in my kitchen, and I've included a link to this full recipe, and it's in the video description below, and that will take you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.